Over the past 24 hours, Bitcoin has seen a steep correction back to 70,000. What are the macro implications of this move? Where are Bitcoin's reversal points? How are the macro charts developing? And what is the total altcoin market cap looking like? These are questions we're answering in the video today. Let's dive on in. Okay, MegaWhale team, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Over the past 24 hours, Bitcoin has seen a steep correction back down to retest 70,000. In today's video, we are going to be discussing the macro and the short-term implications of this move, as well as the weekly and monthly candle close, the short-term price action, the macro charts, and even the total altcoin market cap. By the end of today's video, you will have a detailed and well-rounded understanding of not only the short-term, but the macro charts as well. Before we do get into it, smash that like button, hit that comment button, and subscribe to the channel. We post daily videos of Bitcoin focusing on the facts, the data, the technical, and the structural information. No hype, no BS, no emotion, pure raw TA. If that is the kind of content you are interested in, join us on Telegram. It is the first link down below. You will get access to charts, updates, videos, educational posts, news events, and everything else you need to stay in the loop of cryptocurrency with Bitcoin and the relevant economic news. And if you are interested in taking your trading to the next level, join us over in VIP. We post trading setups with exact entry prices, exact targets, exact stop losses, trade justification, exclusive analysis, and so much more. You'll also get access to our group chats, our general chat, our trading chart and education chat, our daily video, our help, our news, and our trade setup chats. If you were interested in joining nearly 700 members, contact me in the pinned comment for a discount. We have a sale on for the next 12 hours, 10 to 30% off memberships. Click the links to find out more information, our trading track record, and our membership details. Check it out, guys, and let's go ahead and dive on in. So as we can see, over the past 24 hours, Bitcoin has seen a bit of a steep correction toward the downside. And in our prior videos, we have been discussing the possibility of that drop, specifically stating that a loss of that $72,000 level would likely result in a flash correction into the 70k region, where we will either retest 69.5 or establish a new support around the $70,000 mark. And if we look at the price action, we have pretty much seen that exact move out play out, with Bitcoin dropping below the $72,000 region, resulting in a steep correction into that 70,000 to 69.5k area. The big question is will this short-term correction have a profound macro consequence on the directional expectations for Bitcoin? And where is Bitcoin likely to bounce from? Those are questions we're answering in the video today. Starting off on the market data, 24-hour volume and 24-hour liquidations. Volume is down 24%, 139 billion. Liquidations down 57%, 107 million. Of the 107 million in liquidations, actually 220 million. Of the 220 million in liquidations, 194 million have come from long positions as Bitcoin tanks, and 25 million coming from short positions. Moving over to the DXY. The DXY is hanging on at that level of support. Again, a correction here for the DXY will likely seal its fate for a macro continuation back to that 100 level over the coming weeks, if not coming 3 months. Of course, if we are able to close this weekly candle above this horizontal level, we are expecting a continuation towards the highs. However, the macro downward move is the most likely. Moving over to the S&P 500, a little bit of turbulence here on the weekly, of course, bringing it back down to that 5,750 region. As we have been discussing, provided this weekly high is able to sustain, we aren't really expecting this correction to be very long-lived. Again, if we are able to break above, or hold above, should I say, this weekly high, we are expecting continuations into 6,000. If we drop a weekly candle below this high, that is really when the risk of higher time frame corrections do become present. If we look at the macro price action for the S&P and we look at these prior significant high points, particularly over here, here's another one, and of course our most recent one, you notice that when we break above these regions, we don't generally drop to go back below them. We have come down and retested them twice, but we haven't dropped below these high points that we established. So if we were to break below this high at 5,600, that could mark a macro reversal developing for the S&P 500. And again, the traditional asset market is pretty well correlated to cryptocurrency, around a 70% correlation. And as we zoom now to a higher time frame, the correlation becomes even stronger. If we do see macro top signals for the S&P 500, it might be an indication that Bitcoin might even see a correction. So I do not think we're going to see that correction down. While we remain above the high at 5,700, 5,660, we are expecting continuations upward. But if we do drop below here, that is going to be a warning sign on the S&P 500. In fact, the first warning sign since we broke out in May 2023 at 4,000. So very significant point over here if we do drop below it. But that is going to be it for the broader updates, guys. Like we said, we're going to be discussing Bitcoin dominance. We're going to be taking a look at the total altcoin and total market caps. We're going to be diving into the macro charts briefly, going over the short-term correction, price action, key reversal points, and risk of further correction, as well as the higher time frame for the monthly candle close, which is happening in 15 seconds, the weekly and the daily closes. So without further ado, a quick word from today's video sponsor. If you do want 15% off your trading fees for life, so 15% discount on all your trading fees for lifetime, sign up to BitGet, BitUnix, or BingX. Any of these exchanges down below will give you that access. You'll also support me, support the channel and the videos, and help yourself in your trading career with that 15% off. Now that 15% off can build up to a 45% discount based on your trading volume, so be sure to check it out. We'll play an ad and we'll jump back in. I'd like to introduce our partner BitUnix. BitUnix is a global non-KYC, no country restriction exchange, making it a perfect exchange to trade on if you're from the USA, from Canada, the Netherlands, or just prefer to trade without KYC. This exchange is a futures and spot exchange with over 200 different trading pairs and some of the lowest fees in the game. If you sign up with my link down below, you'll get access to 15% off your trading fees, as well as an exclusive reward center where you can claim up to a multitude in USDT prizes. So go ahead and sign up with my link down below for 15% off, and I'll see you in there. Okay guys, let's go ahead and get back into it. We're going to be taking a look at the daily, the weekly, and the monthly candle close to start off with. So first and foremost, as we can see, the daily candle was able to close above 70,000. Now this is a fantastic thing. If we are taking a look at the structure of the price action over the past 4 months, since our 49k low, we have noticed a very particular trend. And this is going to be, we have been establishing higher lows with that price trend, as well as higher highs in the price trend. Now, what we have also noticed is that these prior higher highs have been respected as levels of support. Take our prior one at 66.3, for example. We were able to sustain above this region as a nice period of support, establishing this as a higher low, okay? And then we saw a continuation upwards. This daily candle has enabled the price action to flip the recent high at 69.6k as a potential area of support on the daily, which could facilitate a continuation. So in terms of daily candle closes, was this a bullish close? Yes, it was a healthy close. It could have been better, of course, above the 72 mark would have been ideal, but it was a decent close nevertheless. Only if we drop below the 69.5 level on the daily, would we run the risk of a correction back into this macro channel on a daily time frame. So for now, the channel is safe, the price action is safe, but if we do see a daily candle below this region, we do run the risk of a correction back into that channel and back into those 66k lows. So we do have to be aware of that. Moving over to the weekly chart, taking a look at the weekly candle, again, the weekly candle is closing in 3 days' time. The weekly candle is pretty solid so far. Again, this is going to be the first weekly candle we have actually been able to sustain above the macro descending channel. So we do have 3 days until this close, and ideally, we would like to see the weekly candle close at any price point above around 69,000. 69,000 being the point of which we broke above the macro descending channel. This 8 to 9 month long range we have been in. If we look at the RSI on the weekly, we do have positive momentum. Again, we have had positive momentum since around the 9th to 16th of September on this particular weekly candle. So we are expecting an increased likelihood for this weekly candle to close above the range high. And again, if we take the measured move of this range high and apply it to the projected breakout point, we are still looking for moves into 85,000, provided the price is able to sustain above 69k. So provided 69k is able to be sustained on the weekly, the target is still in this mid $80,000 region. If we do see the daily close back below the prior high we just discussed, that massively increases the potential for the weekly close to occur underneath the range, and this being marked as a massive deviation on the price. However, for now, that is unlikely, and for now, the weekly candle is looking good. Again, for a good weekly close, all we need is the price to sustain the range high. Let's jump over to the monthly close for Bitcoin. The monthly close for Bitcoin was not as fantastic as the daily and weeklies. The reason being, we have seen yet again on the monthly another attempt to break through the prior monthly highs. The prior monthly highs sitting at 71,200. We would like to see a monthly close above 71,200 to signify a monthly continuation toward the upside into that $80,000 region. So good daily close. Weekly close is looking good. It's looking like it's going to build up into a solid close, provided the daily closes continue to hold those prior highs, and the monthly close was okay. It was a decent close. We saw these prior monthly levels retested. We were able to push and close a monthly above the prior all-time high in the last cycle, but the main levels we are really watching are going to be these prior monthly highs for closes above for directional continuations. So that is about all the updates on the closes for the Bitcoin price action. Let's go ahead and jump over to our daily chart again. One more thing, guys, we are still very, very, very closely watching on the daily chart that RSI. This RSI is a very particular point, and ideally we would like this RSI to sustain. If at any point the RSI is broken down from, that would signify that the momentum since the 49k low that has been developing and building positive has flipped negative, and that will increase the probability of a correction downwards. So if we do see the RSI break negative, the possibility for a correction back into the channel is quite severe. However, the weekly momentum is looking good. The weekly charts are looking good. I do not deem this as a likely scenario, provided the 69k range is able to sustain. The most likely scenario based on our measured moves is still going to be a directional continuation to 85 eventually, provided the range high is able to sustain. So let's, before we go to the short term, take a quick note at this prior high. Again, this high point is the level we are really watching at 69.5. Now let's jump to the short term. Here it is, 69.5. This horizontal region right over here is going to be the prior high point for Bitcoin. We've established a new higher high at around 73,600. This is going to be our prior higher high. This level is a point of which we'll need to sustain. We can see that below 69.5, we have a significant amount of support, which means it is quite unlikely that if we do see a break below 69.5, it is going to be anything more than just a liquidity grab before a continuation back upwards. If we do see the price action dip into the 69.5k region, I would be assuming this is going to be a liquidity grab, and only if we drop below 69,000 would I take that more severely as a potential steeper correction. So if we see a correction to 69.5, I'm going to be expecting that to be a liquidity grab toward the downside, touching that prior high liquidity before we see a continuation back upwards, trapping new shorts in those areas, and again, opening up the potential for us to take new longs. If we are taking a look at the price trend here on the hourly, we can notice that the RSI has been downtrending. Of course, this is going to be a representation of the trend in regards to our RSI, so our momentum of the trend. We can see we do have negative momentum. We would like this momentum to flip positive before we expect to see a stronger continuation upwards. Moving over to a smaller time frame on the 15-minute chart, we can see straight away the price action is showing signs of reversals. We are seeing already that the velocity, okay, and the volatility of this downtrend is beginning to die off, as the price is starting to again decrease against the 50 EMA. So we're seeing the width between the 50 EMA and the price candles compress. This is an indication that the selling pressure we saw develop as a consequence of that loss of the 200 moving average, of the loss of that 72k region, that selling pressure that built up is slowly starting to die off, meaning the buyers are starting to step in. We can see that the RSI is pushing back upwards, again representing that during this period over here, the momentum is beginning to flip back positive and the buyers are attempting to reverse the price action. They have not done so yet. The buyers, although are attempting to reverse the price action, have not done so yet. What we are seeing here is selling exhaustion, not so much buying strength. We would like to see the price action clear out that 50 EMA first for an indication of a continuation higher, and if again we do see a drop into this lower liquidity, we are watching for reversals to develop from there. For Bitcoin to become exceptionally bullish again, we would need to see that hourly RSI break back above, and that will facilitate a move into these higher areas. We're looking at 71.5. Again, these higher areas, this is our prior sell side liquidity, okay? We're looking for these regions over here. If we are able to break back above here, we are expecting strong continuations into those strong highs. So while we are below here, we are expecting a potential liquidity grab back into the lows. If we hit those lows, we are expecting a reversal into our prior sell side liquidity. And until then, we are watching this price action develop, as we could develop a chop range over here as we push sideways, as buying pressure starts to increase and selling pressure starts to decrease. That is it for the short term, guys. The key levels again are more so we're watching this lower level. Again, 69k is the lowest Bitcoin can really go before it breaks back into the macro channel. So the implications of this correction right now are zilch. There are no macro implications of this short-term correction at the moment. The short-term correction is simply a flush of liquidity of all positions that were taken upon the breakout of the range. If we see a drop into that range again, we are looking for deviation for continuations, like we've mentioned. And until then, we are watching the price action develop, watching for hourly RSI breakouts, watching for buyers to show significant strength that a reversal is developing. And if the reversal develops, we are watching for our break of structure as a prior area of support, as a potential bullish target. Moving over to the total market cap, not the best look over here for the total. The total market cap has actually broken a daily candle back below the range. Not fantastic, we'll say, not fantastic, but one good thing is that these prior lows are still holding. So again, we have those lower, these prior lows, we have our higher lows developing over here. As long as these higher lows are able to really hold, we are looking okay. If we drop below here, that is basically a big problem for the total market cap, which will send Bitcoin and altcoins significantly lower. And again, while we hold above this RSI trend line, we are looking pretty decent. If the RSI trend line breaks, we are in a lot of trouble for a market-wide correction. Do not take this lightly. This is a massive warning sign if we break below. And again, we have to be aware of that risk. Moving over to the altcoin market. Am I buying altcoins here? Not really. I don't really love the look of altcoins yet. I think we are in a chop range over here. This horizontal range of our high points right over here. We're seeing numerous rejections. We have numerous retests of support. There are two places I'm looking to purchase altcoins. Number one, I'm watching for deviation into the range low. If we somehow get an altcoin flush, we get a day where altcoins drop 20%, whatever, an altcoin flush, if we get it and the total 3 is in this low, I would be looking to purchase altcoins here as deviation in the low range before a swing back upwards. And number two, I'd be watching for the 3-day break above the range high and a retest of that resistance for a continuation back upwards. If at any point the price action sustains below the range low, that is over for altcoins. Altcoins are absolutely screwed. There is nothing else to say. They're absolutely screwed if the price is able to sustain below that range. But if we dip into the range, I'd be looking for longs. We lose a range, I'd be quickly getting out of those positions because altcoins are in a lot of trouble. That is it, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Have a fantastic day. We'll catch you in the next one on Sunday. See you then.